Good morning, everyone. How is today? So, for those of you who came late, I just throw a question to them to help us answer if any one of them has ever gone through disappointment or failure. And some of them did well to share some of the disappointment they've experienced and how it took them long to be able to overcome those challenges. Now, today in this mentorship class, I'll be glad to share with us how we can overcome challenges, failures, disappointment. I personally believe that all of us, at one point or the other, would experience disappointment, isn't it? We will fail at something at some point. In fact, we would experience disagreement. Not just disagreement, we can easily be misunderstood at one point or the other in our life, right? And more to that, for some of us, we could actually be wrong in a way, like his story, he was wrong by forging a receipt, right? Now, he was wrong. But you see, he didn't see what he did basically as the problem. From his story, you could see that he was concerned that he was not graduating with his mate. And that still affected him for close to a year. So sometimes it could still be that it is as a result of our inability to do certain things rightly that we get disappointed. For example, you could be given a task in the workplace and you may not be able to do it well. And when you are being queried or being punished, you may feel bad, isn't it? You may have failed in that context. It could also be in relationship. Maybe some of us will enter a relationship, it didn't go well, you were heartbroken. The fault could be from him, from you, because it is a relationship, so we cannot tell now. But obviously you may be hurt and you may carry the pain for long. It could also be in the way we relate with other people, where conflict could exist between us and people. In fact, in some cases, they could be the persons who were wrong, they offended you, and you are hurt as a result of that. It can take you so long to be able to acclimatize yourself and move on. You would be disappointed, you may feel bad. It could be that it is the other person that is even faulty, or even yourself. Now, all of us at one point or the other may experience one form of failure, disappointment, disagreement, chaos, problem. Now, because these things happens to us almost on a daily basis, that we may not end up getting all that we desire as life push us through. The question is not what has happened. The question is, what has that action left you with? Because, like we've heard, there has been impact in the way we feel disappointed, or even when we disagree with people, even when we feel offended, even when we offend others, there's usually that hurt, even when we do wrong. Now, I'll be sharing with us how to be able to overcome failures, disappointment, disagreement, chaos. Why do I think this is very important? It is because for every one of us, after facing those challenges or problems or disappointment, our action could either affect us positively or negatively. Now, I was looking at the life of many successful people who have succeeded in areas that I have admired. And every one of us at one point or the other have people we admire as a result of their success story. Now, in anything anybody succeed, be it in work, in marriage, in relationship with other people, in leadership, in whatever area you may think of or consider as an area of success for you, There were certain principles that they were deliberate about, that they were able to work on and have made them to be truly successful. Now, for you yourself, you may have succeeded in even some areas of your life. And maybe you did not take time to sit down and study what really made you succeed. And in areas where you have failed, and ask yourself, what was it that really made me fail in this area? Now, often at times, people don't sit down to really look at and study elements of their success and elements of their failure. But one thing that is certain is, irrespective of whether you succeed at one point or the other, or you sit down to understand why, or you are ignorant of what really made you either succeed or fail, there is a chance or there is a tendency that you will repeat that cycle unknowingly. So many people keep living their life by chance without necessarily studying and understanding the effect of their action and how that can either benefit them or cause them more harm. Let me be very practical. Many people may have been hurt through relationship, right? But you realize that they enter a relationship again and they experience hurt again. Maybe they had been disappointed. Now, it could come in two ways. It could be that they were disappointed as a result of the other guy was bad, or his behavior in the relationship was not good enough. In some cases, it could be that they themselves were the ones that were at fault. Now, people don't sit down to tell themselves the truth. What is the reason for my failure? And often at times, because people could be emotional about their circumstance, they don't end up harvesting the real fact about what has happened and what is really the problem. Let me give another example. In workplace, for example, maybe there is a conflict between you and a colleague, and that conflict gets so heated and you people spoke back at each other. You're hurt, the other person is hurt. Often at times, because it is us, we don't take our time to evaluate and check what is really the problem. And usually, because most of us or almost all of us have positioned our mind to be selfish in nature, you realize that we may not necessarily look deep to really ask ourselves, am I really the problem? And you realize that based on natural instinct, we may want to justify our behavior and try to shift the blame to the other person. And as a result of that, you realize that we build characters and mindsets that may not help us to succeed. Now, what am I trying to say? Many people have failed in their endeavors because they've not learned how to overcome challenges and maximize every opportunity in life to be great. Am I speaking too much English? All right. So you realize that people fail in things severally. Let me come back to myself. While growing up, I as a person understood something that really helped me, and I have seen it in the life of many successful persons. All of us and many successful persons have been hurt, have been disappointed, even when we were right. But there was something that happened to every successful person in any area of life. Even yourself, in the area at which you've succeeded, look at it and you will realize that this is actually the truth. That when we fail in something, for example, her experience, I want to come back to her story, her experience, where she was assured of going to London to school after her junior WAEC if she passed all her exams. She passed all her exams, and unfortunately, the plan changed. They said she's not going to UK. That pained her so much. Now, in that, it pained her so much because she was anticipating something. She told people something, that she was leaving the country. And unfortunately, she's back in the country, back to the same school, to the same team of people. In fact, some other people had to mock her. Now, the question is, it wasn't her fault, is it? But just imagine if going on, within that 1 year, she would have been exposed to emotional trauma. She would have been exposed to pain of disappointment. What if within that 1 year, she sat down to say, it's not my fault that this has happened. And maybe my auntie would have been going through real circumstances that made it truly impossible for her. But what beauty can I find from such experience, the time it happened? Don't you think she would have saved herself from a lot of emotional pain? 1. 2, don't you think that now there are many things to learn from her story? That is, if you have a bigger picture of something that can motivate you and inspire you, you can become anything you want to become. Now, if she has learned these 2 things, immediately that experience happened, I can assure you she would have overcome the pain, and the way she would have studied all through her life may be different. Don't be surprised in her final WAEC she did not get all A's. Did you? Did you? Not all A's. But just imagine she put in all the energy, and from SS1 to SS3, she began to put that level of zeal, energy to her studies. Most likely her result would have been far better than it is. Now, a lot of times when we are disappointed, we focus on external factors and don't focus on internal factors that can make our life better. And I've come to realize that if she had continued with that attitude and behavior of learning, putting in their best, maybe she wouldn't have been here. Now, a lot of people take hurt, pain, failure, even when they are corrected in workplace, even when they tell you this concept is not right, this thing you're doing is not correct. You realize that a lot of people struggle to learn from that incident immediately, whether you are correct or wrong. How much more if you put your perspective, your mindset in learning and maximizing every opportunity to grow and be better. It could be a normal conflict. I remember there was a time something happened to me. We had a discussion with my friend, and I accidentally told one of our friends. And one of our friends, instead of him to pick the real story of what happened, he turned it against me and went and told that my friend a completely different thing. I was really furious at my friend. My friend could not trust me again because he was disappointed that he shared something with me, and I went and did not even give the right story in his own opinion, but I gave a false story. And then suddenly my friend came back to tell me this person told him this and this was what I said. And I was trying to justify that this was not what I told this guy. Now, if you look at that context, I have a right to be angry because this guy is not giving me the opportunity to tell him exactly what really happened. I'm also angry with this person that why will I tell you something and then you go back and tell somebody? Now, in that state, I was very angry. But this was what I learned that changed my life from that story. I told myself, I'm going to be a great confidant henceforth. I picked it that it was my fault. I told myself that I will be careful about my friends again. I will not say things that I shouldn't say again. It was a difficult thing to do, but I was able to learn something substantial from that. And that became part of me. Now, a lot of times, one of the reasons why people don't succeed in whatever they do, just check it like I have said, it is because they've not been able to learn from the circumstance they found themselves. A lot of times people hold on to bitterness, to pain of the past, to things they cannot have control about. and they keep growing with it, and it deprives them and denies them of the opportunity to learn. It could be in workplace where you are being corrected. Instead of you to see that as a way to become better, some of us think, this person does not like me. Now, what if you find yourself among people who don't know how to correct people softly? What if you find yourself among people who are naturally angry, and you've done something wrong, and because they are correcting you, you don't want to be corrected. You feel angry that they are correcting you. All you're looking at is the bad part of themselves rather than what can I learn from this. So a lot of people are very reactive to the reason rather than what opportunity do I have to learn. And let me tell you the truth. When you build your mindset to be that kind of person that wants to learn from every opportunity, the good, the bad, the ugly, you will multiply your success 10 times than it is. Because a lot of times, people shrink in, people withdraw anytime learning becomes difficult. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes learning will be difficult. The reason why many people don't succeed and make progress in what they choose to do, it is because they've not learned it. I was having a discussion with somebody lately, and I told him, I said, what you would have learned in 1 year is taking you 4 years to learn. I've worked with this person for 4 years. And I've come to realize that the only reason why this person did not learn, it is because anytime you're trying to teach him something, in his mind, you are trying to attack him. In his mind, it is because you don't like him. You don't see any good thing from him. And you see, sometimes how our mindset is fixed on certain things deprive us of the opportunity to bring out the best in us. Now, I have a question. How is gold being purified? Gold is purified through intense heat, pressure, and through fire. And if you've come to a point in your life where you know that the best ingredients out of you will not come at your comfort zone, the best part of your life will not come when you chicken out, when you give up, when you are not positive about maximizing every opportunity. Sometimes, as a result of those disappointments, a lot of us shrinking. We don't want to take risks again because we've tried something and we failed at it. We don't want to give it a try. And a lot of times, we deprive ourselves of the beauty that can come out of our life if only we give ourselves to a little bit more discomfort. Sometimes, comfort, praise of men, human acceptance is what people want. But at the same time, you need to get to a point where you realize that all of these things may not necessarily bring out the best in you. When you cannot be corrected, when you cannot be told what to do better, often at times you see it from a negative perspective rather than from a positive perspective. I've not been given this leadership position because they did not like me. Instead of you to look at it and say, what are those leadership capacities that I don't have? When you're being chosen between you and your colleague, instead of you to say, what is it that this person have? Let me learn and grow up. You begin to fight this person because you feel you're better than that person. Instead of you to see the opportunity to learn from that person. And anytime we compete with people in a normal way of competition, instead of us to look at it and say, what does this person have? How can I be better? We often want to excuse it by saying that this person was favored, this person was liked, it was this reason, for that reason. Coming back to his story where his own pastor abused a young lady. And because of that, he was so hot. Personally, I had a very similar experience with him. Mine, I saw church leaders lie to girls and tell them they love them, and they end up breaking their heart in the church setting. I was very angry. But something happened to me almost time, right? Okay, yes. So for me, what did I do? The first thing I told myself, I will not forget this statement. I told myself, I will not be a party to telling any girl I love you if I don't mean to marry her. And that decision, singular decision, took me out of relationship for 9 years. And from the time I made that decision, I did not tell any girl I love you except my wife whom I have married. Because I wanted to be certain. I wanted to be careful. Now, for him, it has taken him out of church for 1 year. It has deprived him of the opportunity because this was the person he was looking up to. Now, a lot of times when we face these difficult challenges, what is our first reaction? Withdrawal. But often at times, if we stand on that matter and decide to ask ourselves, what are the lessons to learn from? What is the best that can come out of my life? You will realize that that sense of perspective and mindset puts you on the edge. Now, if you begin to practice that as far as work is concerned, you begin to practice that on how you relate with friends, you realize that it affects every area of your life. So, whatever area you've succeeded before, sit down and ask yourself. A lot of us put in hard work to our work, but we don't put that same hard work to our marriages and relationships. We put a lot of that hard work in our friends. Our friends could trust us. We are so nice to our friends, but we cannot be nice to our spouses. There are people who will gift people outside, go out, buy beer for everybody. But you've not also learned to help the closest person to you. So you realize that often at times we succeed in certain areas. People clap for us in certain areas. But the areas we are not doing well, we refuse to apply the same level of discipline on other areas that have made us truly successful. Some of us have very good character. Some of us are very gentle. We are honest. That discipline that you put to honesty, integrity, hard work, put it in other areas of your life and see how your life gets transformed. You put in a lot of energy marketing, going to go and look for clients. How much more put that energy in building good character? How much more putting that energy in developing yourself? So often at times, we succeed in one area that we are passionate about. And that same principle that has made us succeed to a little measure have deprived us of succeeding in the other area. Now, how many of you have maximized every opportunity in your pain, in your disappointment, when people don't even understand you, and get to find out that there could be gold out of even when you take responsibility for what you did not do? But look through and deep and ask yourself, what are the opportunities for learning? How do I make my life better from this circumstance? Yes, it's not my fault. And the other question to ask deliberately is, what is really my fault? How would I have avoided this situation? How would I have done it better? And you look deep to ask yourself, what was it that is truly wrong with me? You know, a lot of times we don't want to ask these deep questions. Those deep questions are not supposed to make you feel bad about your self-worth. It's only telling you that you can be better. Often at times, we want to justify and comfort ourselves that I am good when you are not good and there is room for improvement. And the truth of the matter is, life will always test our choice. Circumstance will always prove what we believe. And the question is, when life trouble, circumstance, put pressure on certain areas of our life, how do we react? And a lot of us react negatively. A lot of us react in disdain. A lot of us react out of anger. Some of us are struggling from anger, bitterness. But how could you tell yourself, no, I don't want this character, it's not good. But you say, that is who we are. All our family, we are known for this. We don't take nonsense. And you begin to build a life out of it. And you don't realize that is taking away from you good opportunity that should have put you in a better perspective in life. Now, the last part of my teaching is, what opportunities can we see from the worst of situations? What are the things to learn? What are the areas of growth? What are the areas that can make a difference in my life, in the choices I make tomorrow? Because to be honest, we are all product of our choices. And how well you make those choices today can guarantee a beautiful life for you tomorrow. And I want to ask you a personal question. Are you willing henceforth to look at yourself and tell yourself that whatever happens to me, I'm willing to get the best out of that experience. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to grow up. I'm willing that the best version of myself should come out.